If your life were a book and you were the author, how would you want the story to go? That's the question that changed my life forever. Growing up in the hot Las Vegas desert, all I wanted was to be free. I would daydream about traveling the world, living in the place where it snowed. And I could picture all the stories that I could go on to tell. At the age of 19, the day after I graduated high school, I moved to a place where it snowed, and I became a massage therapist. With this job, all I needed was my hands and a massage table by my side, and I could go anywhere. For the first time in my life, I felt free, independent, and completely in control of my life. That is, until my life took a detour. I went home from work early one day with what I thought was the flu, and less than 24 hours later, I was in hospital on life support with less than a 2% chance of living. It wasn't until 2 days later, as I lay in the coma, that the doctors diagnosed me with bacterial meningitis, a vaccine-preventable blood infection. Over the course of 2.5 months, I lost my spleen, my kidneys, the hearing in my left ear, and both of my legs below the knee. When my parents wheeled me out of the hospital, I felt like I had been pieced back together like a patchwork door. I thought the worst were over until weeks later when I saw my new legs for the first time. The calves were bulky blocks of metal with pipes bolted together for the ankles, and the yellow rubber foot with a raised rubber line from the toes to the ankle to look like a vein. I didn't know what to expect, but I wasn't expecting that. With my mom by my side and tears streaming down our faces, I strapped on the chunky legs and I stood up. They were so painful and so confining that I could think was, how am I ever going to travel the world in these things? How was I ever going to live the life full of adventure and story as I always wanted? And how was I going to know sport again? That day, I went home. I crawled into bed, and this is what life looked like for the next few months. Me passed out, escaping from reality, with my legs resting by my side. I was absolutely, physically, and emotionally broken. But I knew in order to move forward, I had to let go of the old Amy and learn to embrace the new Amy. And that is when it dawned on me that I didn't have to be 5'5" anymore. I could be as tall as I wanted, or as short as I wanted, depending on who I was dating. And if I snowboard again, my feet are going to get cold. And best of all, I thought I can make my feet the size of all shoes that are on the sales rack. And I did. So there were benefits there. It was this moment that I asked myself that life-defining question. If my life were a book, and I were the author, how would I want the story to go? And I began to daydream. A daydream like I did a little girl. And I imagined myself walking gracefully, helping other people through my journey and snowboarding again. And I didn't just see myself carving down mountain powder. I could actually feel it. I could feel the wind against my face and the beat of my racing heart as if it was happening in that very moment. And that is when a new chapter in my life began. 4 months later, I was back up on a snowboard. Although things didn't go quite as expected, My knees and my ankles couldn't bend, and at one point, I traumatized all the skiers on the chairlift when I fell, and my leg still attached to my snowboard. When flying down the mountain, and I was on the top of the mountain still, I was so shocked. I was just as shocked as everyone but everybody else. And I was so discouraged. But I knew that if I could find the right pair to fit, that I could be able to do this again. And this is when I learned that our borders and our obstacles can only do two things. One, stop us in our tracks, or two, force us to get creative. I did a year of research and couldn't figure out what kinds of legs to use. Couldn't find any resources that could help me. So I decided to make a pair myself. My leg maker and I put random parts together, and we made a pair to fit that I could snowboard in. As you can see, rusted bolts, rubber, wood, nail-pin duct tape. And yes, I can change my toenail polish. It was these legs and the best 21st birthday gift I could ever receive. A new kidney from my dad that allowed me to follow my dreams again. I started snowboarding, then I went back to work. Then in 2005, I co-founded a non-profit organization for youth and young adults with physical disabilities so they could get involved with action sports. From here, I had the opportunity to go to South Africa, where I have to put those shoes on thousands of